we share a fascination for stories, and it's not necessarily about telling a great story or about hearing a great story. It's about living a great story.
This is Telling Matters. Do you want your voice to be heard? Do you want to connect with your employees and your customers in a way that is memorable and has long-lasting impact? Then you're in the right place. Telling Matters is about leading with story. I'm your host, Mark Goldman. I'll help you navigate through the narratives that we encounter as we interview successful leaders to understand how story has influenced their businesses and organizations. Well, welcome to the podcast. I have a very special guest today, not only an entrepreneur, but a really good longtime friend and colleague. I'd like you to welcome to the show a professor, a coach, and a Trek leader, Professor Layne Gneiting, and the founder of Way of the Hero. Hello, Wayne. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, Mark? Thanks for letting me be a part of it.
I'm great. Thank you so much for being here. This is a treat to have you on the podcast and find out about you. Tell the listeners, just give them a quick down and dirty of what is Way of the Hero.
Sure. Way of the Hero is a coaching practice for leaders and high achievers who feel trapped or disconnected. And it's a program of deep adventure that snaps people out of autopilot, ignites the inner fire, and equips them with a compass toward their innermost dreams.
Yeah, I like that. Ignites their inner fire. That's part of your logo there, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you.
Wow. I love that. Ignites their fire. Tell us the story, the quick story behind how it started.
It started when I took a bike trek across the United States. 3 months. It was impossible, but we made it happen. Then I did a solo trek through Southern Europe, and then I finally invited a client to join me. He had a transformational experience, so much that anytime he'd speak about it, he would cry. He wept because it was so deep and powerful. And when I saw that it could work for an executive of this high-rise company, that's when I first clued in that this could be a product marketable for other people that would actually change their lives for the better.
Yeah. And you did a couple of solo trips in Europe, right?
Correct.
And did you have a transformational experience when you were there?
Oh, heavens. Mark, let me just tell you, I've had some pretty brutal experiences in my life. You know, I've lost a daughter, but nothing was as tough as that 2-month solo trek across Southern Europe.
Yeah.
It was tougher and more gratifying than anything I'd done up to that point.
And you said something to me a while ago. You said something that I thought was so profound because you're very aware of story. And you said it wasn't about the story. It wasn't about telling the story. What can you?
Oh, yeah. Really quickly, Mark, we share a fascination for stories.
Right.
And it's not necessarily about telling a great story or about hearing a great story. It's about living a great story.
Yeah. I just thought that was so profound, living that story. And so this executive had a great experience. And then what was the next step in this process of forming Way of the Hero?
Well, it's been an ongoing evolution. It has its own story for sure.
Right.
But the catalyst that really ignited it was when this executive came back, spoke to the people at his business. They got fired up, and its word spread like wildfire, and a big group of them signed up for New Zealand.
Yeah. Did you have any because I know that these treks are not inexpensive. Relatively speaking, I know you've done a great job of finding the best prices for airfares and for going where you're going, but they're not. It still costs a lot of money. Did you have any trepidation about how am I going to find people to pay that are willing to pay for this potential transformation?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think if you don't mind if I reframe it a little bit, it's
Sure.
more, I learned on New Zealand that the trek was valuable, but the way I was coaching them had a lot to be desired. So now it's more about being able to provide the kind of value that they're going to get out of it and coaching them leading up and after it.
Right. And what do you think was your biggest or one of your biggest roadblocks in this whole process?
You're staring at
him. You were, because what was the roadblock you had?
You know, I had a lot of roadblocks. One, because I had learned so much over time, you know, it's that curse of knowledge that when you have the knowledge, you don't realize other people don't have it. So when I did the New Zealand trek, I just expected everyone to come to get it,
right?
To get the program, and I didn't provide them a guidebook. I didn't have specific modules every day.
Right.
I didn't have the preparation leading up to it, and
you just thought they were going to experience the same thing that you did.
Yeah, I did.
Uh-huh.
I did, without having read what I've read or
right.
asking the questions or journaling or all the things that I'd done.
Right.
I just thought they would get it.
Okay. And we're going to find out more about that the next time. Our time is up for today, but this is fascinating. And the next time we meet, I want to hear, and I'm sure the listeners want to hear more about what happened on that New Zealand trip and then after, that helped you formulate again, excuse me, the next step in this journey, both for you and for your clients. Okay? Great. Layne, thanks so much for being here. Tell everybody the website so we can go there and take a look at it.
Sure, Mark, it's wayofthehero.com.
Yeah, that's pretty simple. Remember that, Way of the Hero. And we're going to learn more about that website and that business and you the next time. Thanks again, Layne, so much. Really appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you, Mark.
Well, that's our show for this time. Thank you so much for listening. Please be sure to download this episode, subscribe to the podcast, rate it, and leave a review. For more storytelling information or to book your 30-minute free consultation, be sure to visit tellingmatters.com. Until next time, remember that story is the best way to connect with each other, and that's why telling matters.